knows that they live in Maryland. All of them believe they live in Maryland.
Maryland. I'm from Maryland. I'm from Maryland, cuz. All right.
Maryland.
Yo, I beg on the table way too much, just on a daily basis. All right, episode 57.
57.
Of the Disruptive Faith Podcast. Podcast is old enough to get AARP. Holla at your boy.
Ready for Social Security.
Yeah.
Amen. Episode 57 of the Disruptive Faith Podcast, where we're having honest and necessary conversations that you might not be having at your local Sunday morning service. I'm your host, Tech, along with
Jay Blunt
and
Fred Green.
Hey, how's everything going today, fellas?
Good, man. I just noticed, like, you know when you gaining weight, when we all start wearing dark color?
Hey.
Did you know, like,
you got the high.
we started off wearing blue and red.
Bruh, you know what I was thinking today? I was going to text y'all. What's up?
With what?
$100.
Bro, you ready to lose that
Do it again.
Man.
I already know Fred not going to do it twice. He barely got him that first time.
Fred beat you.
That's debatable.
Fred beat
Beat you.
Tech.
That is debatable.
I beat you.
Tech lost 3 pounds in 3 months.
That's because we did it by pounds. And
I beat you. I
Fred.
significantly lost, and I'm keeping it off a little bit.
Okay,
Yeah,
so then let's do
me.
this. You definitely beat me in that. All right, let's do it. 100.
He got more to lose.
You got Jason Blunt got $200.
Bruh, nah. I'm not doing it.
Bro, come on, man.
Nope.
Why?
No,
Because
look,
I got to keep that money I made.
I gotta agree with Jason because Jason killed it. Like, he crushed us.
I will
last
crush
episode.
it again.
He
Just for the sake of
Then
it.
do it.
Bro, I won't eat till 2021. You don't know my commitment to winning.
I hear you talking.
It had more to do with losing than it had to do with winning.
All I'm saying
I
is,
didn't have the 100 to give you.
Ooh.
okay, then let's
That's
do
a
it.
preach. That would preach.
So
Jason.
that's why I wouldn't lose.
All right, let's do it. $100.
Nope.
Okay.
Because I need to do it for me now. My motivation needs
Such
to be me.
bull crap.
And you didn't even
Otherwise-
shave your head last time,
Yeah,
dog.
you didn't even follow through
Oh,
on
yeah.
your
You're
bet.
You're supposed to shave your beard and your head.
Well, you know, that was a
Oh,
mistake.
here we go.
Well, I tried. Guess fat it is for us.
Keep wearing black.
Guess it's just gonna keep wearing black.
Man, I almost threw away my fat clothes. Good thing I didn't.
No,
Oh, come
I needed those right back.
no, right. All right.
My wife bought me some underwear because I was slimming down. I tried to put them on. I was like,
Okay.
couldn't get them on. Oh, but my week was good.
No, yeah, I was weak. Your
Week was
good.
great. Had a good week. And had a good time. Spent a lot of time with my wife today. Yeah.
Bruh, how was your Valentine's Day?
It was good. I
gotta
cooked,
find out
I
what
cooked
today
my wife I don't know. Reception. But we had good. I cooked some fettuccine Alfredo.
Hey.
Because that's the only day of the year we eat it, on Valentine's Day.
Hmm.
But I cooked it up real good. Onions, garlic, mushrooms, broccoli, shrimp. Like, yeah, it was good. And it lasted a few days too, so she was able to enjoy her present. Yeah. What's up?
Amen. Pastor Green, how was your Valentine's Day? How's your week? How's your Valentine's Day?
Week is great. A lot of things great going on with social media. Been that's been
Fred
really
is
good.
out here.
But my Valentine's Day, all this time I've been saying Valentine's. I don't even realize that, but it's Valentine's. I know.
With an N, not an S. I mean, M.
Yeah.
Valentine's.
But yeah.
Because you from Maryland.
Yeah, from Maryland.
Maryland.
But it was great. We ended up going to a place in Laurel. It's like a sushi / hibachi place.
Okay.
It was nice. We had some sushi, had some hibachi.
You ate sushi?
Yes.
Nice. Good job, Fred.
Yeah. I'm Jason's trying to, he's trying to get me to step outside my comfort zone as far as eating.
You don't really got to. Come
You
back
have
over
to.
here.
I do.
Comfort zone living is good.
So
That's
I
how we get here wearing all black.
Okay. Put up 100.
I don't need to.
But it was good. But I realized we're getting older because after dinner, Like we was cool with just go back home, and we did that. We went to Wegmans for dessert.
Okay.
Just picked up
What'd you
some
get
stuff. All right,
for dessert?
It's gonna be real fat.
All right.
I got so they got these little brownie things with the little M&Ms in it.
Okay.
All right.
That's like $1.99.
That's on some childish stuff.
Hey, hold on, I'm not done yet.
Go ahead. You put ice cream on it?
What type of ice cream, Jason?
Gotta be vanilla.
There you go.
But
And nah,
This old
that's
dude.
trash.
His knees ain't ready for a gym.
And then I put hot fudge on it. I don't even eat like
hot
that
fudge.
usually, but that was just different.
Did you warm up the brownie?
Nah,
Come on, bruh.
nah, just straight
You
out
gotta
the packet.
warm it up.
Just straight out the packet, Jason. I just threw it on top. Top of
You gotta warm it up.
Yeah, maybe I gotta do that. It
Oh,
was
you ain't
fine.
warm up the brownie? I just realized what you said.
But he
Yeah,
just
nah.
ate
Oh
the
my
cold
God.
brownie.
You should not be. You butter pecan. You can't be
Butter
judging me
pecan
over
is
here.
delicious.
What'd you do for Valentine's
My
Day?
Valentine's Day
'Cause
was
you-
actually pretty lit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I heard
Mine normally sucks. But
it went all out this year.
we went to the Void
Early in the morning.
early in the morning.
Bro, I was like, what are you doing at the mall at
At
8
first,
a.m.?
We were the only ones there at first, but
I
then it
bet.
got crowded. Because we don't got childcare, so we had that Valentine's Day.
Got you.
But we went to the Void, which was crazy.
Okay, tell me about that experience.
It-
Did you get a video of it?
No, we
Did they
should've got a
offer
video.
a video?
No, I don't think so. I don't.
Void offer a
They
video
should
of the
offer videos.
experience.
Yes.
It
Get us
made me
free
realize
edition.
something about a husband.
What's
About
that?
like
Hmm.
because I got some couple of quick, deep.
Tell them what the
revelations.
void is too, though.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, the Void is a 3D virtual reality like escape room. So you're walking down a room. Like it's one instance we did the Jumanji one.
Okay.
So you got to walk down this cliff and you got to hold on to the wall.
Mm.
And there's really a mountain wall that you're holding
Oh
on to.
snap!
I love that.
And like you see, like down there, you see
Does it
the
feel
floor.
real?
I thought to myself, oh, I'm about to have a panic attack. And they're going to have to shut this down. And they're going to be like, this big black dude had a panic attack. But this is the thing. My wife, who's normally the brave one,
Yeah.
so I was a sucker. I was like, hey, get out there. my fingers are tingling.
I know that hurt.
I was like, hey, get out there. She started freaking out.
Oh my
She was
god!
like, I'm not going. I got to turn
Wow.
around. And so I'm like, no,
We're
I'm
in the
one-
mall.
I'm freaking out. Yeah, I'm like, you got to be the man. Come on, you got to go.
Wow.
But when I saw that she wasn't going, this is like, it was like a husband thing. I was like, I got to go.
Did you leave her?
No, I had to go to show her
That is okay.
that you could go. I had to overcome my fear because I was terrified too. But she was so terrified that she wasn't moving. So I was like,
I just found out they have one around the
Oh.
corner from my house.
they do?
Yeah,
Really?
it's like 5 minutes down the street from my house.
Get out of
Oh.
here.
Yeah,
It's the Void or it's another one?
it's something different. Yeah,
I
it's
wanna go to
probably
a different
called Invalid. I don't know.
But
I'm
it was good because it was the deep revelation I got is that I was genuinely getting afraid
hmm
because they have like the wind, like it's this
Oh,
one scene
wow.
where
I
the
would
dude
love that.
like breaks
Man.
over the rock and you're like standing in midair. And while you're
Oh.
standing in midair, it's like wind blowing in your face.
Wow.
And my body is getting terrified.
Right.
Mm.
Right.
And it's like, bruh, this is not real.
Mm.
And it's just amazing. It just reminded me of how we get so scared just on what we see
hmm
when what we see is not reality.
Mm.
It's like, that's just what I like. And I had to keep telling myself, this is just what I'm seeing. This is not.
But you
reality.
were feeling it too, though.
Yeah, but it's weird. I knew logically that I was good.
It was two guys on the side of you, like
Blowing
blowing in your ear.
but it was wild. It was short.
Oh, really?
I'm about to
how
ask
many
you
minutes?
how long.
It's like 15 minutes.
For how much? 40?
$40.
Yeah.
Nah. We
That
lost
just
friends.
made me angry. Yeah, you did.
But I think some
$40.
episodes are longer. Like I
Okay.
think the Avengers one is longer, but I think the most is like 20 minutes. But I'm not gonna lie. I'm glad it was 15
Would you
minutes.
do it again?
Yeah, I'll do it again.
Cool.
I'll do it again. I am glad it was 15 minutes though, because
40.
I was like, listen,
That's
this thing
shocking
called
to me. I'm
anxiety is
sorry.
about to kick in. and it's about to get real. And then the other thing, of course, last week I found out that I was blind.
Yeah.
And
First time you on video with the glasses.
yeah, so now I have to wear glasses.
Not bad. Look kind of cool, man.
Hey, man, I'm a cool guy.
Yeah.
You
All
like
black.
Robert Glasper a little bit.
No.
Yeah.
like-
Yeah.
No.
I meant to tell you when you posted it on Instagram when
the hat?
Yeah, I said
Yeah.
I thought that was Robert Glasper. No lie.
Wow.
Okay. No. Shout out to him. I don't know. Yeah, it kind of, it's weird. It's weird. And sometimes I get really upset. And I'm like, stupid goggles on my face. But then sometimes it doesn't bother me. So I don't know. I'm still getting used to it. God is.
Did you feel the weird walking situation?
Yes, that was very accurate. Like,
Did you have your glasses when you did the VR experience?
No.
Okay. You didn't wear glasses?
No, I didn't.
That's probably why you're terrified. Graham was right there the whole time. I was flying through the air.
I couldn't see it.
Use your good eye.
But it's weird, bro. It's like, it's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird. So just getting used to it. God is good.
Saying the HD now.
Seeing the HD.
There you go.
So like the whole day when I first got, I was like taking my glasses off and taking them on. Like this cannot be real.
Yeah.
But it is true. This is my new life. Glasses world. All right. Anything else?
Nope.
We got some deep stuff we're getting into. We're going in. Fred is getting canceled, so we'll give you his Instagram. Hope you enjoyed it while it lasted, Fred. All right. But before that,
yeah.
Hot take. Ken Christian.
Okay, yeah.
I feel like this is dumb and I don't want to do it.
Well, we're recording.
Okay. Ken Christian.
Go ahead.
What? What do you want to say?
Just ask.
Ken Christian.
Indulge me.
What is the question? Is should we be watching regular movies? All right, let me ask a worse question.
Okay.
All right.
And this is God. If you're a theologian, forgive us. If you're real deep, forgive us. We're just having an honest conversation. Okay? What is your limit for what you won't watch? I remember my limit, and maybe it depends on how close I am to God, changes.
I think so.
Because me and Fred, we went to go see one movie.
I remember that.
What
like
movie was it?
Superbad.
And we walked out.
Superbad. Y'all walked out of Superbad?
It was the first, it was
like
when it first came out.
It was like when it first came out, and it was like within the first.
It was a little rough.
It was the worst.
I walked
first
out
day.
of Wanted.
Wanted.
You remember that movie about the dude? It had what's Brad Pitt's?
Angelina Jolie.
We
with
both-
Morgan
Oh, were you
Freeman.
there?
Yeah,
we both
it was
walked
two
out of that.
movies that we
Yeah.
walked.
Why?
out.
It was like he slammed somebody's head. It was just too much. Maybe we were fasting or something.
I think that's
How
how I
y'all
walked out
gonna
more
go
so.
to the movies
Well, I
when y'all
think that I
fasting?
more so walked out because you was walking out. But Superbad, it came in like we was like, well, and remember we met the prophet when we bought the tickets.
Man, yeah, we met
was so
this
weird.
dude.
And what was he
I
watching?
had he was breaking the ticket. He was doing the ticket stuff.
And he was a prophet?
No, we just called him the prophet because I had like a shirt of Jesus.
And his name was Isaiah. No
And
lie.
his name was Isaiah. And
Okay.
he was reading the Bible.
While he was breaking.
Yeah. And so he broke the ticket. He's like, what you going to go watch this rated R movie for?
Mm.
And I was like, I don't know. I forgot what I
Yeah,
said.
it was-
but
I'm
made me
sorry.
shake.
It was awkward.
And then later, we went in, he sowed the seed, and he walked out. But I remember I also walked out of Stepdads, too.
You did?
With
Will Ferrell?
Yeah.
And Mark Wahlberg?
Yeah, when he took his joint out and rubbed it on the drugs.
He couldn't even not laugh at them. He tried.
What's wrong?
He tried to say it with a straight face.
What is he doing? We lost one.
I only see the edited version of it. I never seen the theaters. I only see the edited version of it.
If it's so funny now, why you walk out?
That's what I'm saying.
You go and rewind that again.
I'm sorry. Hold on. I'm sorry, Jesus.
Oh,
Oh,
fix the
Lord.
table.
I'm sorry, God. Amen. Praise the Lord. It's not. That's what I'm saying. Maybe I got further away. I need to get closer to God. When it first happened, because I remember watching movies, there was a lot of cursing in it.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, man, if they do one more thing, bro, I'm out to throw it. Spam was like, "Are you playing on my drum set?" And he's like, "Man, oh!" And he rubbed his testicles on that dude's drum set. And I walked
That's
out.
Step Brothers.
Step Brothers.
Step Brothers.
Sorry, Step Brothers.
Yeah.
And
Step
now it is the funniest thing in the world. It should not be. God
To you.
forgive me. Oh my gosh.
Man.
But that day, I was like, this is ridiculous. How dare they? And I walked out.
Not on my drum set. Yeah. Okay, so that's interesting.
So what? I guess the question is, what is your limit? Jason doesn't have one.
No limit.
No limit. No bounds.
No boundaries.
What is your
I
not?
see increase.
What's your honest?
Yeah. So my personal limit is that I don't watch any demonic films.
Mm.
Nothing that has anything blatantly demonic in it.
Mm.
That like sorcery, witchcraft, like they doing what's it called? Seances or speaking any type of foreign like language.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of movies have the little whispering. I don't watch anything like that. Yeah. That was perfect, by the way.
That was like
So anything like that, I try to stay away from. I'm not opposed to monster movies,
Okay.
but like demons and stuff like that, I tend to stay away from. I don't do like scary movies or horror films. I typically, don't do anything like that. Don't watch anything like that. But when I was younger, my dad, who's a pastor, we were Blockbuster Earl videos. Do y'all remember Earls? You don't remember Earls? All right, I'm the old guy on the panel. But Earl's video. But we used to buy video. He was a video collector. So I grew up collecting VHS tapes, DVDs, and then Blu-rays. And now Blu-ray was a short phase, wasn't it? It went straight to digital, almost.
Yeah, but shorter than Blu-ray was HD DVD.
Yeah, I forgot about that. But anyway, so we collected movies all the time, and right now in his basement, there's a whole room with shelves from the floor to the ceiling with videos all in it, right? So from karate, like everything. So when Blockbuster went out of business, the one in Mitchellville Plaza, they threw all their tapes away. So my dad, we were there so often that they would just bag up all the old videos, and we would pick them up at night before they closed.
Crazy.
So
wow,
we got like there's whole videos down there, like old Blockbuster stuff down there.
Crazy.
So he collected, and that's what I grew up watching, all kinds of stuff. To a degree, obviously. He didn't let me watch everything. But like I wasn't allowed to watch like kissing scenes, and they would close my eyes and all kinds of stuff. But now, like, I mean, so for him now, he doesn't like watching movies with cursing in it. So it's weird for me to hear that he's no longer okay with listening to movies that contain a certain level of language, adult language, when there's a whole house full of videos. Gore has never been an issue because he's like karate movies and Troy, period movies, different things like that, fighting stuff. So blood and things like that hasn't been an issue for me. My wife doesn't like gore, things like that. But she likes John Wick. She loves John Wick, the shooting and stuff like that. Yeah, but for me, that's it.
As long as it don't got those whispers, you good.
No violence. I skip past sex scenes too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I skip past sex scenes.
Mhm.
So if it's an option, obviously. So if I'm at a theater, of course you can.
That's a blunt.
Fred.
um, I guess mine's same thing pretty much with you, me. Think pretty same thing with you. Like I don't do demonic movies. I just don't roll with that. Um, as far as like I don't know if you mean rating. Like I don't have no limit necessarily. Um, the subject matter. So like if it's a rated R movie, I'm looking at the subject matter. Like if it's just about like like what's a good example? Like one of those college or teen movies rated R. I ain't going to go see that because I know it's about to be in there.
Yeah.
Because I know because I always if I have the control like you, Jason, I'm fast forwarding it through the sex scenes. If anything, if I want watching something with
Just
that.
copying off me.
Yeah, no, it's true, it's true. But gore don't bother me. I'm noticing that as something I might have to check is just that I am get desensitized to gore, because I'm TV shows. I know we talk about movies, but I'm putting TV shows like Netflix TV shows. And some of my favorite have like the most.
What's some of your favorite shows?
Peaky Blinders.
Okay, I don't know about that.
Judging you. Wow.
Look, Peaky Blinders is like, look, judge me. But yeah, but like I'm noticing even sometimes like if I go to see another movie and my wife like, oh my gosh, and I'm like, what? Oh that? I'm like, oh wow, that years ago that probably would have disturbed me, but it doesn't. So, but yeah, that's as far as limit. It's just mainly sex scenes and demonic stuff.
What about you, Tuck?
I don't like excessive cussing. I still don't. I don't like crude humor. Like I still don't really like Superbad or like movies like that. Or the because that team makes a whole lot of movies. There's a lot of movies like that. Like I'm not a real big fan of crude humor. I don't do horror movies just because I'm a sucker.
That's true.
I still I don't do horror movies. Don't do so I don't know. I don't do The Whisperer. I don't do children that got demons. Most terrifying thing.
Because he got kids, he might kick one of them.
No, just saying those little terrifying little girls in those doll dresses. They be like,
Annabelle.
Nah, don't do
Chucky. See, when you watch classic horror movies, it's hilarious because you see how dumb it actually is.
But is it hypocritical that we don't watch? Like, why don't you watch horror movies with The Whisperer? Demonic.
Because I don't know what they're saying. I can't interpret what's being said, so I don't know what's coming in.
But like, is it weird that we have that for that, but we don't have it for other stuff? Like violence or language or
violence is biblical.
Okay, or like certain sex scenes or sexually suggestive stuff.
Oh, we said that we.
I mean, you fast forward through sex scenes, which you don't. But like, even
we ain't just gonna graze past that.
Even like with sexually suggestive stuff or innuendos, I think a lot of times we sit through. But like, if once a little head starts spinning, we'd be like, "Nah, this is demonic." No.
You
don't think it's weird that we see the ability to want to influence, but not the ability.
No, I get it. I think it just depends on the nature of the violence. So violence could be karate. Violence could be, there's a violence can be accidents. It could be all kinds of things. But I think one is overtly one way than the other.
Yeah, I'm kind of and then, I mean I do get what you're saying, and I like that's why I'm acknowledging like the violence part. I gotta
Mhm.
check and look at. But I think on the surface level of like why it's the devil, it's Satan. Like it's just like
But
those
isn't
movies.
the other the devil the same too?
Yeah, but I feel like it's not as. But yeah, it's true.
I don't know. I do the same thing.
Yeah, no,
If
that's a good point.
if someone's head start turning, I'm like, this is the devil. Click. And then if I see somebody stabbing somebody on the wire, I'd be like,
Murder.
Murder. Yeah,
Nah.
it's cool with me.
I don't know. I guess,
Never thought about it.
desensitization, if that's an actual word, it exists. It's real.
Mm-hmm.
However, I still feel I'm okay with watching certain stuff. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. Boy.
I'm not Jesus, just so you know. Yo, you know who I really like?
You mentioned Peaky Blinders to me. That's why I watch it. Thank you. Go ahead.
I don't receive that. Yo, you know who I like?
True. Okay.
Y'all need to check out this dude,
What's that?
Jonathan Reynolds. I
Mac
will
Reynolds.
make room
Is it
for
Mac
you.
Reynolds?
Yes,
I
Mac
would
Reynolds.
listen
It's
to
Mac
that all
Reynolds.
day.
Mac
He
Reynolds.
lied.
I'm not lucky, I'm loved.
Tech.
And then
The live
I heard
version?
the song and then I heard the song Cycles.
Yeah.
I
Like,
think
you may not learn from your mistakes, but the devil does.
Mm,
I was like, that's a bar.
that is.
Are you
It's a
being
bar.
serious right
I'm
now?
serious. I love Jonathan Reynolds. This is incredible.
Yeah.
Y'all should check him out.
Oh, maybe
Okay.
we will if we
Yeah.
haven't heard of him before.
No, yo, hey,
Where'd you
make
hear
room.
of him from?
Huh?
How'd you hear of him?
I came across a video on YouTube today.
Oh, okay.
I've been watching them like literally, God knows,
Yeah.
not all day.
Isn't
but-
it interesting how our hearts change?
What? My heart changed?
Maybe your mind did.
I will make room for you. Oh, I was like, this is deep.
He was like, "Oh, I'll make room. Oh, move the couch, move the potato chips." That's what he's literally move the Cheetos. I think it's on film and on record
It is.
What?
that the first thing when you thought about making room for Christ was moving the sofa
That's
and
it.
Cheetos.
Did I say that?
It's
Yeah.
on record.
I had to look back.
Look at you now. You in G. What is this? G sharp.
I'm not lucky. I'm loved. All right. Anyway. Okay. Cool. That's enough hot takes. Moving on. I mean, we actually have a deeper subject to get into. One that is sure to get Fred Green canceled.
Why you keep saying that?
386.
Because he's got to projecting.
You know what I mean?
I'm not going.
I gotta hate. Ain't nobody, you can't cancel what you not watching. You got to get to somebody. All right, I'm getting closer, Jason. So I'm a little torn at the beginning part because, all right, so in the news, everyone knows Dwayne Wade came out and he said that his son was not transitioning, but decided that he wanted to, he now identifies himself as a woman and then, or as a girl, and then Dwayne Wade came out in support of that, and there's like a documentary going out. It's like a big deal around Dwayne Wade and his child. And a lot of people had a lot of comments about it. It's kind of been being talked about a lot. And there's something in the culture. And I don't know if we ever really did it. I know we did like a Q&A. I don't know if we ever did a whole episode about homosexuality, LGBT. I don't know if we did that. And then today, one of the reasons why this is really on my heart, as I saw, I was looking at this video of this minister today. I mean, he did a compelling job breaking down the different arguments in ways that people view homosexuality and where it comes from. But that was what was almost disturbing to me about it is, his basic end view was that they would transition from wherever they were, and they would now be an affirming church. So someone who is practicing or whatever, it just didn't matter. They could be a pastor, they could be whatever. So he actually used to be a member of the Assemblies of God. Once he did that, I guess they asked him to leave. So him and his church are no longer members of the Assemblies of God. I don't know how big of a deal it was, but it was it got me in the funk because it was the way he did it was very it was interesting. And so, but anyway, there's this whole topic around homosexuality and LGBTQ, and I feel like not everybody's. And you kind of said this. It sounds like everybody's talking, but I don't feel like everybody's talking.
Yeah, I think there's a reason for it.
What you mean?
I think people are afraid to talk about it. I think people are afraid to speak on it and share their opinions or stand on either side of the fence to say they're in support of or against. I think most people prefer to stand on the sideline and say, um, it's his family, it's his life, it's his child. Let them do what they want to do over there. It's not my business.
Mm-hmm.
I'm out of it.
Right.
And for fear of being attacked, ridiculed, and criticized.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think in general, too, like you said, there is and I guess that's the reason why we're having the conversation, because I think every believer has to ask himself, and not that I don't subscribe to the conspiracy war theories, not that there's this, I personally don't feel like there's this big conspiracy or war where it's like, speak up now, they're going to steal your children. But I think that what, in my personal opinion, two extreme sides are talking.
Yeah.
It's like either the extreme side that say they represent God's like, God, God hates gay people, God hates you, and it's like this very, very hateful side, or it is this ultra affirming side. There's nothing wrong with this. If you see differently, then you are hateful, homophobic, transphobic, all new types of phobic.
I think you can disagree and not be hateful or have a phobia or fear of something.
Yeah, I think that middle though, in between those two, is not really talking.
It's possible.
And it's those two extremes that are like yelling,
Lashing at each other.
Yeah,
There's no meeting of the minds.
Yeah, because yeah. And so I mean, I'm just trying to think. I don't really know like where to start. I mean, I don't want to make the whole thing about Dwayne Wade. Part of me does feel like, even though I disagree, but part of me does feel like, okay, that's his business. I disagree, but I can't tell them how they.
I don't think anybody's trying to tell him what to do. However, if you think, I mean, we live in a world where you've been given a platform to express your own opinions, your own views. And I think people are being bashed for expressing those opinions and views. I think it's interesting that one thing that I think, I could be wrong, but this is just what I know or what I believe is that a big part of why the first word was tolerance that came out. And people wanted everyone else to be tolerant of the homosexual community or the LGBT community because people were being bullied and things were happening. So they was like, well, look, these people are killing themselves because you're speaking out against it. And I think it's interesting that now that they kind of have the upper hand on society a bit at the moment, because if you do speak out against it now, they're doing the bullying. So roles are reversed a little bit in that sense. If you do disagree, that's what they call the cancel culture, right? We don't have the cancel culture. The cancel culture came from that side.
Right.
And so now they're the ones bullying, the people who don't agree. And it's not about tolerance, it's about acceptance. Those two things are different. Being tolerable, like, okay, but do you accept it? Do you agree with it? That's a whole nother question. Yeah.
And I believe that's to me, like with all this stuff, I think that's the bigger question that the people I talked to, the conversation was more, not necessarily specifically to Dwayne Wade, but it was more so of society as a whole. It's just like the mindset, like you said, tolerating versus accepting. I think we are now definitely at a time where, you know, tolerating is no longer like okay.
Yeah.
Like it's either like you're going to accept this,
Right.
or if you don't accept this, then you know you hate.
And
like,
even if you're unsure,
mm-hmm.
you get boxed in the hate
Yep.
category a lot of times. Yeah. So that's why all of that is why I think that people are fearful of even speaking out, or they're afraid to say anything.
I guess as Christians,
Mhm.
what is the proper? I mean, I don't want to say what is the proper response, but
Mhm.
like, I feel like as Christians now, I think Christians have gotten through with because the Bible says so, and to a certain degree, that should be akin. I mean, I won't go into that, but I think I can get why people will respond that way. But I think now we have to have a deeper understanding of what we believe and why and where it comes from. Because the message, I saw this preacher today, and he gave a very compelling message about homosexuality and why he felt like it's affirming. And his view was, and he coded it very well, but what he was trying to say was almost the same thing we say when it comes to uh, with women, where Paul says don't about women being quiet. And as the Paul was talking to a specific people about a specific issue, and he wasn't making a declaration for everyone. And so the perspective that he kind of implied is that if you look at what Paul is saying, he is describing people who are like dragged away in their lust, and people what he tried to say is that Paul was talking about pedophiles and people who are like lost in chasing lust, mainly around that scripture in
I was about to ask you which one.
in Romans. And so he says that Paul is talking about a specific person, and if you look at it, that person does not sound like your uncle or your neighbor or your family member who who may be homosexual, who just wants to love who they love. And it got me in the funk because I was like, I see what you did there. And if you don't have a foundation, people are trying to pull on your heartstrings to get you away from truth. Like we were having a conversation before the podcast about this thing about this anti-fat movement.
Anti-fat.
And there's this guy. Long story short, he was like that. There's this movement about anti-fat. He basically says it's not wrong with being fat, and that people are trying to marginalize fat people and discriminate against fat people. And one of the things he did was, which a lot of people do, is they weaponize tragic stories. And he told a story of a young girl who's 12. Her parents took her to fat camp.
Right.
And then during the fat camp, they made her run. And she said that she couldn't breathe. And then they didn't believe her, and they kept like ridiculing her.
Sure.
I'm pretty sure he put some sauce on it. And then she ended up passing away.
Unfortunate. Sorry about that.
And so that was the basis for part of where he was coming from. It sees behavior like this,
right,
and then that tugs on your heartstrings.
Sure.
And you feel like, but it hides more
the real issue.
Yeah, it hides the real issue behind emotional stuff.
Sure. Weaponizing is expensive. That's interesting. Yeah.
And that's what
that's what
the
happens.
culture does. Yeah, it's like no one thinks that people should be bullied or treated for how they feel.
Right.
But when you do that, sometimes you get away from the real conversation. Like back in the day,
I don't even know how to say this properly, but the conversation isn't had, if that's the right word. But
the conversation isn't had because we're getting lost into, and not to be insensitive, because it is it is some jacked up things definitely
Absolutely.
that are
Yes.
happening.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But like back in the day, it used to be a big debate as if there was a gay gene. I don't know if you guys remember this. Like,
Yeah, I
kinda
remember.
remember
It
used to
that.
wasn't
be,
Yeah.
even back in the day. It was not long ago.
I mean, maybe like 10, I mean, a little over 10 years going back. I
Mhm.
Sure.
remember like about around time,
Well,
at
the
least,
gene was they were trying to identify a gene because initially it was considered to be a disorder. Homosexuality was.
yeah, it used to be in the, I forgot what they called it, the something.
Yeah.
But they were also trying to identify the gene to say that this is a natural
Yeah,
part
something you're
of how
born with.
people are born with.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's a big thing is the gene.
Mhm.
So after a while, they say freak the gene,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's like, no, this is how.
Okay.
And then from there went to, if you don't affirm this is leading to people dying,
Mm.
and you don't care that people
Mhm.
are
Mhm.
dying just because they want to live the way they live. And so we get further and further away from a substantive
Mhm.
Mm.
conversation,
Mhm.
because nobody wants to be that jerk.
Yeah.
And so it's like, how do we? I don't know. And maybe this is like, how do we have the conversation? How do we in this
Which
climate,
conversation?
like the conversation around homosexuality, transgenderism, like as a believer, how do you even approach it? Like,
I think the first step, and I think the part that we play as a church is that um we don't have the conversation. And what I mean by that is like we don't walk up to people a lot of times in the different lifestyle, homosexuality lifestyle, and kind of sit down and talk with them. I think I think sometimes we could have this persona or like this, and it's part of our the church history. Is just like it almost like it gives off like I don't want to talk to you. I just disagree with you, but I don't want to talk to you. And I
Mm.
think
Loveless.
yes, we need to be more forthcoming with our love towards them, towards people, them as people. Like I keep saying them, but people. I think that's first place to start on our end. And then once the conversation, I think really it starts there. I think people are anybody is very receptive to, um, how do you view me as a fellow human being? Like so like hard conversations could begin to start, starting there in the basis of love.
Yeah. I agree with that. I know that it's possible to not agree with someone's lifestyle and still be and see them as a human, to still love, to still show compassion,
Mhm.
to still have an open heart and open ear to understand. But I think that it's also important for those who are on the other side to know that it's possible for someone to not necessarily agree or understand and not hate you
right.
and not want to get to know you better I mean, like one thing I've said is that it's unfortunate, but those who are and do struggle with homosexuality are more than homosexuals.
Right.
And unfortunately, a lot of their life, what I believe, is everything is comprised in this bubble of homosexuality. Like you're more than that. That's just one aspect.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're more than that. And I think that people have to like that's just one thing. Like a lot of us get hung up on homosexuality as the big sin, the cancer of the church, if you will. And but I mean, well, you have a foul mouth. You like people struggle with all sorts of sin. And I think that like to solely identify with that one thing puts you in a square hole or box. Like it just boxes you in. But I just think that understanding and love or understanding, I don't want to use the word acceptance, or just accept the fact that we don't agree on this topic and have the conversation and be willing to hear both sides opens the door to better communication. And who knows what could come from that? Just show love, like even in your speech, in your talk, in the way you disagree, in the way you object, makes people open or should, open the door because people are often looking for a reason to shut it down, looking for a reason to say, you just like one of them. I knew you was going to do that. I knew you was going to do that. And understand that for the Christians who don't believe, you're dealing with a spirit outside of the person, independent of the person who's under the influence. That's what you believe as a Christian, right? Yeah.
So I know a lot of times, like a lot of the criticism will be of Christians and people like, what does it matter to you? Why do you feel the need to like why does it matter to you who someone chooses to love?
You.
Who they choose to love? Like, what does that have to do with
I don't think it necessarily had like what my neighbor, I don't use the word neighbor, chooses to do or don't do. For me, like it's an age thing.
you? What?
I could eat break bread with anybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That doesn't matter to me.
Right.
You know, but if you want to have a conversation and you want to, then we could talk about it. But
Right.
I'm not a person who's going to bash anybody
Right.
for what they believe, don't believe, because that's me. Just that would be horrible.
Yeah.
Like that would render Christ ineffective or ineffective in my life. To be able to spread His love, His everything. For me to just hate.
Right.
I think the problem that when that comes, like, I don't have a problem with who someone loves or choose to love. I think for me the issue becomes when I can't have my beliefs and have my opinion. When my beliefs and my opinion becomes twisted into, oh, you hate me. But you could have your opinion, and I think that's where, I think that's where, and when I say I'm talking about, mainly I'm really talking about society, like the way it is now. I think that's where my struggle is. It's just like, I don't necessarily go around looking for people like, oh man, you shouldn't marry. Like I don't subscribe to that at all. But I think, but for, not to sound churchy, but for me and my house, like it's just, I know what I believe, and I know what I'm going to teach my kids.
Sure.
And that is, I just ask for the same respect, that like this is, it's okay. This is what I believe. This is my household, and we are entitled to believe this. And when I teach my kids, it's going to be about, you love everyone, but there are certain things that we just don't, like we don't believe as a way of a way of life. I can't think of a great way to say it, but yeah, as far as what does it matter, like why does it matter who I choose to love or marry? I don't necessarily care. I more so care about me being able to take a stance and have my convictions as a Christian about a lifestyle, not a person, but a lifestyle.
The lifestyle. That's remember when the hate the sin, love the person thing, or however.
Apparently that's a bad thing now.
Really?
Yeah, like a lot of people keep referring to that as very harmful, and even in the message today, the guy said
to separate the two.
Yeah, like the guy said that for homosexuals, when they hear that, they still hear you hate them.
Because that's what I mentioned. that's why I mentioned earlier that you're more than that.
Mm-hmm.
So when you say I dislike homosexuality, they like I am homosexuality.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like they identify as that thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna say they, but those who do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like there's no separation between the two
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of them, or for many.
And I think also probably I wonder how much feet in action we have put beyond the statement that would cause them to
Say it
cause
one more
people.
time.
I wonder how much feet in action, as far as us as Christians, put behind the statement. So what I mean is, it's not enough to say hate the sin,
Mm.
but love the person, but don't do anything. Like that person was still like a lot of times people respond more to how like how you treat how are you? Don't just give me words.
Mm.
Like show me by your actions.
Mm.
And that's just I'm just kind of just thinking that's the first time I heard about that what you just said. But I wonder is the reason why it's hard to hear that statement and not see see the difference is because of how is it just being said, but there's they are still being like we're not outwardly showing some type of love or reaching out in some form or fashion.
So let me ask you this. I want to kind of take a turn here. One, I want to try to be as honest as possible,
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
and then also I don't think I think one of the things that we try to do as Christians, and maybe people aren't Christians, is they try to argue with each other.
Okay.
And so it's like this thing of like, right now there may be people listening who have different views than we.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
And there in this conversation just reaffirms them in their own view.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we're not trying to change anyone who's had their mind made up. Because you got your mind made up, that's between you and Jesus. I think though maybe what we can add some value to is there are people who are really struggling through, who don't know like the basis for where these conversations come from as Christians, why we say homosexuality is a sin, and like they just need things to be able to chew on when it comes to this issue, if that makes sense. Versus, this is what I was always told when I was in church. And while you were talking, Fred, I thought about this question, and I think, and I'm gonna just try to be honest. I mean, we always honest, but let's try to be double, triple honest.
Okay.
And really be transparent. What if God told you? Don't rush my pauses. Oh, don't you know that? Oh, sorry. What if God told you? What if God told you that you could not have sex? The sex.
What God?
the,
Go ahead.
the sex itself
Mm-hmm.
was a sin. That in order to follow God,
You guys,
you had to not have sex. What would you do?
you said be
I don't
honest.
even know how to fathom that.
I know. I don't look.
Like, where is that coming from? Like, I don't even know. Where are we coming from?
It's-
Where's this question?
But what would you do?
I would question who was talking to me. Where's that line up with the word?
But what if it was a scripture in the Bible that says sex is a sin?
Then I guess I'd be struggling all my life to follow the word. If that was the case.
Okay.
You know?
If
And
there
I
was a
was
scripture.
and I adhered to the like that I was a Christian and I was a believer of what was written, then that would just be something I would and I mean by naturally
Ace is still a child.
no, I mean naturally if sex was a sin, it would be probably natural for us not to want to do it.
But what if it wasn't? What if you still had the same sexual desire you have now?
Go ahead, Fred. You keep throwing more in there.
But no. Okay, go ahead, Fred.
Well, I know where you. I have an idea where you. But I mean, if I'm being honest, and that's why I'm sitting here quiet thinking because I want to give an honest answer. I think I would. It would be a struggle, but I think I would definitely still pursue God with that choice. But it will be. It will suck.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just thinking about it. Like for some people, and the reason why I bring it up is for not for. I don't believe that everyone who has placed themselves under the banner of homosexuality. I don't believe that this is their story personally.
Yeah.
I don't even think every homosexual believes that, because what they don't tell you in the news, they make you feel like all homosexuals have the same view, but they don't. There's a lot of homosexuals who don't agree with LGBTQ. They don't agree with transgenderism. They do say homosexuality is the choice, and I chose this, and I like my choice. So a lot of times in the media, they make it sound like there's this one uniform view. Sure. This is the story of homosexuals. This is what they all think. But trying to just think about it from a different lens.
Okay.
And I think you bring up a good point. And again, this is not every homosexual, but to them, that's how they feel. That, like you said, if sex was a sin, then why would it be this natural for us? For them in that realm, their desire is just as natural as that.
Almost.
But how? How
Almost.
can you say?
All right. Well, all right. Let's go to this.
Okay.
Let's go to creation. All right. So I didn't create my body. My body was created, and when something is created, the creator, whatever it is, places in the creation intent and design. So when you create something, you design it, and that design has intent, which goes towards its purpose.
Okay.
Right? So if you created this phone, right? And I decided to use this phone upside down, right? Could you say I was using it incorrectly?
I could, yeah.
Yeah, you could, because you're the creator. I'd be like, well, I bought it. It's my phone. But you can say, well, I intended and designed for you to use this a particular way, right? So the creator has the ability to say what intent and design, what it was intended for, and whether or not it is being used correctly or incorrectly. Now, I have the choice to use this any way I want, but the creator has the ability to say if I'm doing this right or wrong, right? So with humans, we're built a particular way. We're in us is we have a design, and that design functions only one way. So there's no misinterpretation about the intent of the creator. Now I have a choice to use my body how I choose, but I can't get away from purpose, intent, and design.
Yeah, I mean, you could say it that way, but I think what? You gonna say boom?
No, it was great.
I think though there's some things there that maybe we're missing, and that is it'll be different if you as the creator showed up and was like, this is how I made the phone.
Well, we could look at it.
It goes this way. But from another person's perspective,
yeah.
If we're talking about when it comes to like homosexuality, and how someone fits, some people do feel like this is how they felt.
Sure, but I'm not talking about a feeling. This isn't about a feeling.
But if you're saying that there's a penis in the vagina, and because they have a penis in the vagina, obviously that only means
there's intent and design and purpose behind it. You can't get away from that. No matter what you stand on or what you can't get away from that fact. Right. That design, intent, and purpose exists.
Yeah.
Now this is outside of a feeling.
Right.
This is outside of emotion. This is outside of what I think and you think. This is outside of that. Now, if you addressed it logically, remove all your feelings and emotion and get just to that fact
Mm-hmm.
that I was created, whether I agree with how I was created or not,
Mm-hmm.
intent and design exists. I was designed a certain way. If a woman is saying I was supposed to have breasts, I wasn't designed this way, but I created these.
You created those,
I'm
bro.
getting the gym, I promise. But when a woman has a child,
Mm-hmm.
most women produce milk. There's a design there, and some women even lactate in the presence of babies, and some animals do the same thing. But there's design behind it. Everything functions like we can't get away from that. No feelings. There's nothing I'm arguing about who feels a certain way, who doesn't feel a certain way. Just design, purpose, and intent.
Yes, and I mean, I don't want to get lost in debate. Now, I
Yeah.
disagree with the logic behind it because I think you have two-headed. I think anyone can say you have two-headed snakes. Like some people feel like they were born
Yeah,
in the
that
wrong
exists, but it's
body. So if your
how can you
logic
say that?
if your logic is
Hmm.
that because this has happened naturally by nature, there's a bunch of things that happen naturally by nature
But there are
that aren't correct or need to
irregularities.
be correct.
But they're even those things are called irregularities. They're not natural. They're deformities.
Right.
Like if I have six toes
Mm-hmm.
and 6 fingers, that's called a deformity,
Mm-hmm.
right? There are disorders that exist, which speaks to the fact that there is an order.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay, I mean,
this has nothing to do with feeling, emotions, or anything like that.
So okay, okay. But to the main point,
Yeah,
'cause I
let's
don't
go.
get lost in that.
Yeah.
If you
Mhm.
if you feeling like the way you felt now,
Sure.
was told that you could not have sex because this is how we interpret the Bible. We interpret the Bible to believe
Sure.
that the sex is wrong.
Absolutely.
How would you feel and how would you approach that?
Well, I think that if I was a believer and that existed and I feel like I feel today about sex, I think that again, it would be about dying to my flesh. It would be a a constant struggle. I'd rather struggle than to give in.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd rather fight than to give up. This
Mm-hmm.
is me.
Mm-hmm.
And if my goal as a believer is to get closer to Christ, then the things that I do, like when I struggle with pornography, my prayer was that my urges and the things like would be removed from me, like help me
Oh my
fight the
gosh,
things that
brother.
are in me that are not right. You know what
Okay.
I mean? Like
It's gonna take me a second to get back.
something
Yeah,
fell
a little bit of pee
and
came out. A little bit of pee and poop
he's struggling
came
over here.
out.
But
I'm
anyway,
sorry.
but yeah, so that would be that would just be my fight.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have to embrace the fight until I got victory. We all fight over in certain areas of things. That there are things that we all struggle with and fight with.
Yes.
Where you at, Fred? I see you digging in the scriptures.
Yeah, I was digging in the scriptures. I think I'm still because obviously we just thought about this topic like so I'm trying to figure out something to leave with scriptures, like you said, like where do we have the basis? But I think one thing that I would say is that I think it's important to understand. Number one is that, actually, I'm gonna go here. So in Romans 1, and hopefully stay with me because I'm partly trying to think this through. So if you have something more, like just jump in. So in Romans 1
Mm.
and I'm gonna start verse 28, but then I'm gonna go back up. But it said, even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to a debased mind to do those things which are not fitting, being filled with all unrighteousness, sexual immorality, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, evil mindedness, they are whisperers, backbiters, haters of God, violent, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents, undiscerning, untrustworthy, unloving, unforgiving, unmerciful, who knowing the righteous judgment of God, that those who practice such things are deserving of death, not only to do the same, but also approve of those things who practice them. Now, why did I read all that? Because a lot of times we would start at verse 28, and it feels like sometimes at verse 29 says, being filled with all unrighteousness, sexual immorality, and then we stop.
Mm.
But it was so, there's a lot.
It's a lot more.
It's a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, and before it talks about, homosexuality, but before I get there, I think the first thing to establish is that God don't like homosexuality, but as much he doesn't like unforgiving or the unmerciful, the murder, envy, like disobedience to parents. Like, I think it's important to not, and this is cliche, but I want to say it again, is that sin is not an action. Sin is it's a nature that we all was born to. And I think, to go back to what you were saying, Jason, God created us to function and created us as human beings to do and to be a certain way. But because sin has entered to the world, we are seeing the product of not is not what God intended. So someone, just like I was born and I just naturally knew how to lie, that is in this list here, that God is not approved of. I believe that someone to be born and have a desire of the same sex is on it. I feel like sometimes we put that on a whole nother plane, but that's on an even plane, and it's all a product of the sin nature that all of us are subject to, that we all in the same boat. And Romans talks about is that we have all fell short of the glory of God and all need of a savior. So I want to establish that, number one. And then going back up in the same verse, and Romans 1 verse 24 said, therefore God also gave them up to uncleanness and the lust of their hearts, to dishonor their bodies among themselves, who exchanged the truth of God for a lie, and worship and serve the creator rather than the creature, who is blessed forever. For this reason, God gave them up to vile passions, for even their women exchanged the natural use for what is against nature. Likewise, also the men, leaving the natural use of a woman, burned in their lust for one another, men with men, committing what is shameful, receiving in themselves the penalty of their error, which was due. And the reason what I see there is that in the lust of the hearts, we all my struggle may not be homosexuality, but there is struggles I do have that's in my heart that I had to fight and war through, and that is the real agenda. That's the real battle. It's the sin nature. That's what Jesus came to deal with. He came to deal. I think sometimes we get caught up in the action, and then we put this on the plane. But Jesus came to deal with something spiritual, because the sin is something that goes deeper than an action of homosexuality or an action of lying. It's not the action that makes this a sin. It's my heart. It's the sin. It's the nature. So I think it's important, for someone like as far as a Christian. I think that's a good scripture, but I think the important thing to highlight is that we all, because of the sin nature, have struggles, and my struggle may not be your struggle, but Jesus came just as he delivers me from lying, being a liar. He also could do the same deliverance for someone who struggles with homosexuality.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, I was watching this preacher today, and I wish that I was able to send it to you guys. And I wish everyone, the listeners, could see because he did a. And I'm trying not to rant, but just slap me. Uh,
My
because
pleasure.
I have one major beef
Mm-hmm.
with what he did,
Mm-hmm.
and because like a big passion of mine is teaching. I love teaching.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a big responsibility that you've been entrusted to. Like people trust you that you are that people trust when they're listening to you that you took time that you are hearing from God.
Right.
And so and when you give them background information, they trust that you know. Like
Right.
if we know
These are the
this,
facts.
yeah, we know this. Like a lot of people quote preachers or they'll quote certain histories of the Bible, not that they study, but they heard it from a message
Mm-hmm.
when they give a content scripture. So this guy who's talking about homosexuality and some of the things he was saying were true, but he said it in a slick way. So like the word for homosexual in the Bible, it really means like I looked it up one day. It's kind of graphic. It is the receiver, if you catch my drift. the so
Yeah.
it's like the so like when they say no effeminate,
Prison rules.
yeah, no effeminate, no soft. Some translations say soft, some translations say effeminate.
Mm-hmm.
That in that scripture, that word literally means the one who is receiving.
Well, we read the unnatural use.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're not
So
use. But like what he was saying, and some people would say, is that he's talking about male prostitutes during that time. And so what happens is that young men would go and they would prostitute themselves to other
sure,
other men.
that's
And so
possible.
that this is
Only the prostitutes, not the guys. Like what the heck?
and then yeah, that Paul was addressing the issue of
Let's cancel that guy.
pedophilia
Mm-hmm.
and prostitution. Because again, one of the ways that people get caught up is, and the move, the little Jedi move that he pulled, is that this does not sound like your uncle. This does not sound like
So
the person that's close to you that
wow,
just wants to love
that's
somebody.
pretty bad.
And so I think sometimes we get caught up in it because we see ourselves in that person. We say like, man, like this can't. How can God not want this person to love people?
I think he does.
Or you know what I mean? But they'll say like, how does God not just want him? He all he wants to do is love. He's not trying to hurt anybody. They're just trying to be love and mind their business. How can God not allow that? I think the big, for me personally, the big thing with homosexuality that we're missing is like you said, Fred, there's a whole list of sins in
Mm-hmm.
there that he's mentioned. But for some reason, when it comes to homosexuality, the idea that we say that it is not a sin,
Mm.
that it's not something that I have to work through,
Mm.
that there is nothing wrong with it. So if I lie,
Mm-hmm.
I can say that I'm a liar. God give me grace. I have been lying. It is part of my sin nature. Where we are as a culture now is that this is not sin.
But you wouldn't call yourself a liar. You would just say, "I've lied."
Yeah, and I think that's too, and like you were saying, people are identifying themselves with a particular lifestyle and behavior, and saying this is who I am.
Mm.
And Jesus,
There's even power in that.
it is, and it is power in your choice of how you choose to identify.
Yeah.
Like that, you would choose. You know, there's a lot of ways you could choose, but like even Jesus, when he was rebuking the Pharisees, he would say, "I came for the sick."
Mm-hmm.
Not for the physician.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So for the people who say I don't need grace, you don't got grace.
Mm.
And so where we are with homosexuality now is there's a push to say there is no grace need. This is not sin, therefore there is no grace needed. And God is affirming of this. God is endorses this because this is how he made me. I don't know if I answered the question. You guys give me a hard time for not answering my own questions.
Mm.
I don't know what I would do if sex was a sin and I could not have sex. I think like, you know, even with heterosexual whatever, if something that felt as natural and is beyond sex, just whatever loving relationship with a woman, if that was a sin, I don't know, but I think you mentioned it, Fred. It is, we're at a time where we have become so united with our sin nature that we can't separate the difference from us and that sin nature. And it reminds me of the scripture. I know I'm rambling out this. Shut up. What Jesus says, he talks about the sower and the seed. And he said, you planted good seed here, right? And then the guy comes and he goes and he sows wheat in the field. And then they say, do you want us to tear up the bad root? And he says, no, because they look so much alike that you won't be able to tell the difference between the two. And so you have to wait till it's like fully mature. I think right now, that evil sin nature that the devil has sown, as believers and really as people, we have embraced it so much that you really almost can't see the difference, and we can identify sometimes our sin nature from who we are.
That's a good point.
I just want to say that conflict happens in Christianity when what you feel conflicts with who and what God has called you to be. That's just it. That's the struggle right there.
Yeah.
Is what does the word say? What does God say in comparison to how I feel?
Yeah.
Now, battling your feelings, your emotions, what do I do with that? Like, what do you do with it?
Yeah.
And that's the struggle.
It's a struggle.
You know, I don't think it's about denying what you feel per se. More so about saying that what God says matters more. And it's easier for me to say, you know, in some aspects, but that's why I think the real struggle is, you know, not denying what you feel in comparison to what God says. Find out what God says and like forcing everything in you to line up despite how you feel. Go ahead.
I think what you said is very true. That's the conflict. I think that's where a lot of people find themselves in that. Since we're dealing with the topic of homosexuality, that is the struggle. Like, I have these feelings, but I also want to please, my God. And I think the way we have taught it as the church is like, lying is a struggle, and other things a struggle, but that's just that's just something else,
Yeah.
and we don't teach like, nah, like, you sit beside me, man, like we in this boat together. And I think the most important thing to remember is that we don't overcome our struggles, meaning like we ourselves. It's Jesus.
job,
It's
Fred.
through the power of the Holy Spirit. So I think that is the part that we miss. Like, how do I get over this feeling? How do I can't see myself getting past like these battling this emotional. I can't see myself, and I'm not just talking about homosexuality. I know there's things that I used to struggle with and things I currently struggle with that in my own way and within my own self, I feel like, man, I don't even know if I can see myself. But I have testimonies of being able to overcome through the power of the Holy Spirit, to be able to not walk in a way that was so natural for me, that I thought was natural for me. But through falling in love with Jesus Christ, it was nothing that no big thing that I've done. It's just him receiving first, like understanding first that he loves me, that understand that in this there was like no condemnation with him, and to have a relationship with Jesus Christ doesn't mean that like he was condemning me, but it was just love, and there was, like you said, there's grace there for the feelings, but at the same time God is so amazing at this, to be able to have this beautiful balance, is that at the same time that he's able to love but also correct. He's
Yeah.
able to love and also able to set you free. And I think that is like very important to for anybody who's struggling with anything, but also again dealing with homosexuality. It's important that that message is continued to be highlighted, is that no, we all in the same boat, and you can overcome this.
That is true. I don't think we necessarily have walked with people dealing with that. We kind of maybe left them alone. I think too. I want to say that, like, and maybe this is my just own personal frustration. All homosexuality isn't the same. There is certain perversion that leads you to homosexuality. Not all homosexuals. I say every homosexual is pervert, but even through like scientists can tell you, there is this rush you get. And they were talking about like and I think maybe we mentioned this before, like one transgender porn director said that a lot of the porn they make is for straight men. That they don't make it for homosexuals, other transgenders. They make it for straight men, because what happens is when you're doing something that you know you shouldn't do and you're sexually aroused, like you're nervous and you're sexually aroused, and let's say once you're done, right, there is this release of endorphins in your brain, and that rush is something that people end up chasing again. So in order to get that rush again, you also have to go to that next level now, and so you have to keep, and that's how people get lost in perversion. So there's that. There are ways that people grew up. People try to reject this now, but was the father in the home? The role of the father in the home, or was the mother in the home? The role of the mother in the home. Molestation, there are other factors that go in. So I know the narrative is everybody's like, no, I was born this way. But there are certain behavior and social things that can lead to that. But there are a segment of people, I don't think it's as much as people lead on, that from birth felt this way. And I think what you're saying, Pastor Green, is true. I think for those people, we in the church have left them alone to fend for themselves, to say, well, you just got to work that out. I don't think we sat beside them and say, I'm going to walk with you through this. Let's walk through this. And I think there is a certain denying of self, whether homosexual or straight, that we don't believe in and practice anymore. If I want it bad enough, then me wanting it is evidence that I should have it. And because the fact that I want this is proof that, God wants me to have it. And that's not the case. So I think there is a certain closeness to everything always comes back to getting closer to God. And I feel like we're always trying to do everything but that. Everything but spend more time praying. Everything but spending more time with God. But I don't know. That's it. Anything else you guys have to say, Pastor Jason?
I do, but I'm afraid we're gonna be here for a little bit. Proverbs tells us to train up a child in the way they should go, so when they get older, they won't depart from it. What's your thoughts on the children making decisions? Like, is there less training happening? We're giving children more, like, not that they shouldn't have a voice, because I think children should, but there's a whole lack of understanding in regards to the development of the brain, what's happening, what you're feeling, even describing the feeling itself. Like, vocabulary is limited. There's a lot of things, and I think that the adults, it's possible that we give in and kind of move them in the direction that they may be referring to, if they're okay with it. So if we can, like, what do you guys feel about that? Like the children, given the these underdeveloped minds the say in all of this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
think
agree.
that it is. One, I think our culture is always overcorrecting. So it's like something is wrong. It was this meme that someone had. It was like when I was a child. It was like I asked my children, "Do you feel heard? Do you feel loved? Do you
Mm,
feel respected?"
yeah,
And then, but when I was growing up, it was like, "Shut up, don't talk, didn't
exactly.
speak to you."
Mm,
So those things are great, but the overcorrecting from maybe the things that we've done wrong growing up, like one of the, and I don't. Well, one of the things that Dwayne Wade said that I also agree with is that he said that she's our leader. Like
who?
his child. When he was referring to his child, he said that
The
his
child is
child
the
was the
leader?
leader, and so it's like, you know, you
I mean, he might be tucking Dwayne in at night and telling him
okay.
to go to bed. He might
Um,
be. I mean, she might be.
but I don't know. I think like we do like your. I think that scripture is something that, and it's just a reminder of me to get back. That you got to practice like as an adult when you raise a child.
Which we aren't really doing anymore, by
Yeah,
the way.
they're
Mhm.
just growing up with us. We're
Yeah,
not raising them.
Nah,
yeah,
the
They're just
society
getting
is
older.
raising them.
yes,
Yeah.
I
They
agree.
only see us for a couple hours every day. So the influence that the
Mhm.
outside world has on them is
Outweighs what.
it far outweighs it. We get Saturday and Sunday
Yeah.
and a couple hours throughout the
During the
week.
weekend.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's not only it's I think the future children parents are going to have to unteach things that the world is going to teach children.
Uh,
Like things that we wouldn't necessarily deem acceptable. New
Mm.
parents are going to have to go back and correct curriculum that they don't necessarily agree with.
mm,
And I think that's
Yeah.
scary.
it's
Um,
scary.
that's
But that's my firm belief is just like we as parents at the age of number one, we have to know what we believe and have the boldness to stand on that,
Mm,
yeah.
and then teach our children, because I believe we are. I don't me personally, I don't think it's going to get better. I think it's going to get worse,
absolutely.
and I think
Maybe
it's
better.
important for. I think it's important to teach your children not only what to believe but why they believe it, and have the boldness to
Yeah.
stand in their conviction.
Yeah.
Because I think even for them, it may be, it's going to be a different time. But yeah, I do agree. If I'm gonna be short, I do agree with you about like training up a child in a way that like really making sure, like, I look at my responsibility to my son and my daughters of like the roles, like what does, and not like in a superficial, or not like in this weird way, like a man is supposed to go punch somebody in the face, not like that, but like, but this is what, son, this is what a man is. I feel like that's a responsibility, and my daughters to see an example of that.
Cool.
Cool. I mean, there's so much that we can have in this conversation. I mean, this
Yeah.
is already a
Yeah.
long
I just
episode.
had to get that out.
There's no worries. I mean, it is a lot to unpack, but discuss. I mean, do you feel like this is one sided conversation? Is there more that you would like to say or to express? Let us know your thoughts. Hit us up, disruptivefreepodcast@gmail.com. Hit us up on Instagram, Facebook, all the Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Hit us up in the comment section. Let us know what you guys think. If you're not subscribed already, hit the like button and subscribe. Look down at your phone. Ask yourself, did I enjoy this episode? Are there others that I think can benefit from that? If so, please, 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 it is a huge blessing. Leave a like or review. Gonna is review, or maybe you hate it. Also, leave a review. Say, you know what, I hate it. That Jason guy
We
is
tried.
a jerk. Uh, and so let us know your thoughts. You guys be blessed. Glad you guys can be a part of the conversation. We are out.